Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 has received its next update, which includes new features and a few new maps. Today we're going to go through a summary of patch 6.0, the Data Vault update. First up, the Battle Barge sees the Data Vault and Research Centre, which was added in the last patch, now unlocked and usable. Here you can complete ordeals, which gets you points that you can use within the Research Centre itself, and players can unlock more information about enemies and allies. There's also a new PvP map called Tomb. It's the smallest of the PvP maps. The Tyrannids have a new member of their squad with the addition of the Biovore. This enemy can attack you with its legs and also shoot out spore mines. Some new emotes have been added, and these include a battle cry, a stoic handshake and the signature pound to the chest. Armory data has been refined. You can now sell lower tier armory data for requisition points or exchange them for higher levels. This means you can achieve relic level without having to play on the harder difficulties. Speaking of the higher difficulties, PvE has seen a new difficulty added. It's named Absolute, and it brings an extreme challenge with less ammo. Also, if you decide to play Quick Match in Operations, you'll receive an additional bonus upon completion. An addition for PC players is the Field of View slider, which can be used to personalise your viewing experience. There's now an opt-in for PvP crossplay on consoles, but this option is only accessible from the title screen settings menu. New finisher animations have been added, one for the Zoanthrope, two for the Rubric Marines, and one for the Scarab Occult Terminator. Another change sees an additional Mastery Award for full progression of a weapon. This is also going to be awarded retroactively. If you're a holder of the Season Pass, new content has also been added. This includes the Salamanders Champion Pack for the Sniper class and the Raven Guard Cosmetic Pack. Customization elements have also seen a couple of new additions. These include the likes of shared slots for skins recolours. This is a preset which can be used across any class. Chapter decals are now available for the right pauldron. There's also been some customization bug fixes, and these include the likes of the pauldron emblem for the Dark Angels DLC not having a colour option. Loading into a match while previewing a locked piece of armour could result in this piece being equipped. And also the Champion's backpack that caused incorrect coloration after switching has seen a fix. There's been a lot of listed changes for gameplay and balancing, and these include across all classes and a few weapons. This section of the patch notes started with this statement. Balancing wise, the focus of this update was to review perk trees of all classes. There were clear outsiders that didn't get picked. While there are some nerfs in the list, the majority of the changes are buffs that should benefit different playstyles. With the next patch, we'll also be focusing on weapon perks and weapon class restrictions. For a deeper look into this, I'll leave the patch notes in the video description, video card and a pinned comment. Kick votes can no longer be launched in the final stages of an operation. The grapnel launcher ability has also seen some changes. These include incapacitated enemies that were hit by the grapnel launcher can no longer be finished off by other players. Vanguards can no longer take damage when they're pulled onto an enemy. The jump pack has seen two bugs fixed, one of which being where players using the assault class were flying up after using the jump pack, the other being where the characters could hit the air when performing a ground and pound within the game's campaign. General quality of life changes include the fix of an issue where the gun strike may get cancelled during its usage. Heavy class couldn't turn on or off the Iron Halo ability, and fixed the control input of parry and melee if they were pressed at the same time and nothing would happen. In terms of the PvP match ending, there's now a short delay between the post-match screen and the triggering of the win conditions. A couple of PvP bugs have been addressed, one of which was where the Iron Halo was not disabled when enemy vanguards hooked at an enemy, but also where Heavy's Iron Halo could stay activated right before the death in some rare cases. Some other fixes include where the Assault couldn't hover on the jump pack after making a ground and pound. and also where there was no shield sight mark while hitting the enemy's shields with plasma. Generally there's been some small fixes in level geometry collision, and a fix to the infinite loading screen that occurred when re-entering the battle barge after the end of a PvP match. AI synaptic shock and AI friendly fire damage now scales with difficulty. The Hierophant Biovore has reduced damage sensitivity to normal weapons, but you can still damage it. Perfectly dodging the zoanthrope and neurothrope beam attacks will now trigger the gun strike. Also, neurothropes should no longer freeze when they're incapacitated. Carnifex now have more variations within their reactions once they're hit. And an issue with this enemy has also been fixed, where they should no longer stay idle after they've been shot. This was also the case for the Tyrranid warrior Lash Whip. Again, this shouldn't go idle during combat after getting hit. The Sangor Enlightened dodge desirability and cooldown are increased, but the explosive spear attack damage has been reduced. The Rubric Flamer has had its shooting distance slightly decreased, but an increased time for players to react to the attack. The Rubric Bolter also sees some adaptations to its AI, with slightly increased time for players to react on precise attacks, but its burst fire attack length has been decreased. The Scarab Occult Terminator Ranged sees a reduction in the number of rocket barrages that the Terminator can shoot, but an increased range for this barrage. Also, these Terminators are less likely to shoot rockets if players are close to them. In general, there's been lots of minor animation fixes for different enemies across the board. There has been many small fixes in level geometry collision, and also fixing terminus enemies getting stuck in some areas of the playspace, with a couple of things being mission specific. There's a fixed bug in Fall of Atreus that would cause enemies not to spawn in some areas. Obelisk sees an added notification about the chalice forgotten on the holder when leaving the location, as well as fixes to voiceover bugs related to the cave part of the level. Dying in the Vox Liberatis mission after interacting with the last altar may show a defeat screen after the victory cinematic. In terms of general fixes, this patch fixed an issue that was causing partial save loss in some rare cases. It also fixes a bug where Heavy's primary weapon could not shoot after joining a session in progress. There's been a fix of a rare bug that would cause a player to be kicked from the party after a leadership transfer. There's also been minor fixes in perks and how they stack, but also how they trigger in rare cases. There's also been some minor UI fixes and improvements, as well as localization fixes. In terms of the game's tech, the 6.0 update solves a few problems. A lot of these though are listed in every single patch, but they do include crash fixes and general stability improvements, general connectivity improvements, slightly optimised memory consumption, slightly improved performance, slightly improved texture streaming speed, improved anti-cheat, and finally render improvements that sees an issue with capsule shadow tech now fixed. So that's a summary of everything that's included in the new 6.0 Data Vault update for Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. What are your thoughts and opinions on it? Is it an improvement to the previous version? And if it's not, why not? Let's open up the discussion in the comments. Leave a like and feel free to share this video. And if you're a Space Marine fan, stay tuned to the channel because there'll be more Space Marine content coming soon.